morning. What we have here is the various people who worked on the Sherry Rasmussen murder case. The successful case was concluded today with the sentencing. We met like this after the verdict was rendered. However, at that time the prosecutors were somewhat limited because the sentencing had not occurred. They're a little more available to you now. The lead prosecutors were Shannon Presby and Paul Nunez. They're assisted by Rosa Alarcon, was helped out immensely with the DNA portion of the case. And the IO, I think, is here, Greg Stearns. So if you have any questions for them, they're available to respond to those questions.
I have a little prepared remarks that I'd like to make first, and then we'll answer questions.
Your name, please?
Shannon Presby. We are extremely gratified by the jury's verdict and the sentencing in this case. We are grateful that this jury was able to reach a verdict that was firmly rooted in the evidence, and that the defendant has been sentenced for her crime. While there is a profound feeling of satisfaction that justice has been finally achieved, there really is no joy. A murder trial is by definition a tale of loss. No judicial process can restore what was taken from Sherry Rasmussen on February 24th, 1986. So our feelings of satisfaction are tempered by the knowledge that no punishment can ever undo the harm caused by Sherry's murder. On behalf of the prosecution team, we wish to thank His Honor, Judge Robert Perry, for fairly trying this matter. His Honor's experience, intelligence, and impartiality provided a level playing field on which the evidence in this trial could be presented. We also want to commend the defense team of Mark and Courtney Overland for their thorough and comprehensive representation of the defendant. There are many people whose hard work contributed to this verdict and sentence. First, my co-counsel, Mr. Nunez, whose intellect, dedication, and attention to detail were invaluable to the presentation of much of the scientific evidence in this case. Also, Deputy District Attorney Rosa Alarcon, who helped Paul and I organize the evidence in this case and provided another keen set of eyes and ears. In addition, we also want to thank Her Honor Judge Shelley Torrealba, who, before she was appointed judge, worked on this prosecution and assisted with the presentation of the preliminary hearing. Also to the administration of the District Attorney's Office that supported us at every step of this process. Mr. Cooley, Mr. Dixon, Mr. Hazel, Ms. Marisi, and our head deputy, Sergio Gonzalez. Thank you. Next to Detectives Daniel Jaramillo and Greg Stearns, and the other detectives from the Robbery Homicide Division, whose tireless commitment to finding the truth demonstrates not only their personal integrity, but also illuminates the LAPD's dedication to conducting principled investigations and following the facts wherever they lead. Detective Stearns and Jaramillo were involved in every step of this process, from filing through the preliminary hearing and trial. Their labors allowed us to prove, among other things, that the bullets used to murder Sherry were the type of bullets that the LAPD officers were required to carry in 1986. Their efforts also allowed us to demonstrate that the defendant's firearm matched the physical characteristics of the murder weapon in every respect. And their meticulous work also allowed us to prove the defendant's motive for committing this murder. We also thank Van Nuys Homicide Detective Jim Nettle and the Van Nuys Homicide team, who were able to see beyond the conclusions made so many years ago and to look at the facts of this case with fresh eyes. Next, our thanks go out to the many witnesses from the LAPD Scientific Services Division, the Los Angeles County Coroner's Department, the many retired officers and other witnesses whose professionalism and memory were critical to the presentation of the evidence in this case. Finally, the prosecution team also wishes to thank the family and friends of Sherry Rasmussen. Sherry's mother, Loretta, her father, Nels, her sisters, Teresa and Connie, and her widower, John. We know that Sherry's murder gouged a hole in their hearts back in 1986, a hole that no judicial process can ever fill. That fissure of pain was reopened 3 years ago when the reinvestigation of this case began. Dr. Martin Luther King said, Every step towards the goal of justice requires sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. The tireless exertions and passionate concern of dedicated individuals. Dr. King was speaking about social justice, but his words hold true for all forms of justice. Each member of Sherry's family and all of her friends endured the anguish of reliving this terrible crime so that Sherry could finally obtain justice. Their courage mirrors the courage that Sherry displayed as she fought desperately for her life. Every member of Sherry's family sacrificed, struggled, and suffered through the anguish, the waiting, and the uncertainty that accompanies the investigation and prosecution of a murder case. Sherry's family never gave up on finding the truth. They never gave up on justice. They never gave up on Sherry. This verdict and sentencing of Defendant Lazarus is proof that justice, so long delayed, was not finally denied. It is a vindication of Sherry's struggle to live and her family's long struggle for justice. Finally, on a personal note, in my 17-year career as a criminal prosecutor, I've handled cases with all types of victims, but never before has a murder victim touched me the way that Sherry did. Sherry exuded life and promise and goodness. Sherry's kindness radiated from every photograph I saw of her. In every home video, her laughter spilled forth, and each person who knew Sherry spoke of her compassion and her caring. Sherry embodied what is best in the human spirit. I wish I had known Sherry Rasmussen. But I never got that chance, because Sherry was stolen from all of us. Defendant Lazarus stole from this earth a person who would have made this world a better place, stole from her family a loving daughter, sister, and wife. But most importantly, Lazarus stole from Sherry the most precious of all gifts, the gift of days, of time, of life. I can only hope that the fact that Sherry's murderer has finally been brought to justice can offer some solace to those of us who never knew Sherry, and some comfort to those who knew Sherry for far too short a time. Thank you very much.